If you've ever had to write a paper and do it quickly, you'll know that knowing how to do that comes in pretty handy. So that is what we're going to talk about today. Hello, my name is Maximilian Hart. Welcome to the Study Penguin podcast. And today we're going to talk about how you can write a paper quickly. If you hear strange scratching noises in the background, that's my dog. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that it's just the sound wave because I couldn't get my webcam to work today. So that was a thing that happened. Anyways, the first step in writing a paper and writing a successful paper quickly depends on whether or not you have been given a topic. If you have not yet given a topic, you need to take an additional set of steps. So, if you have not been given a topic, step 1, you need to read and research and ask questions as you read. That asking questions as you read is the important part because all good papers start with a good research question. A research question is some sort of question that can be answered one way or the other, and you'll have to argue it either way. It's not just a clear-cut answer. So, for example, if you wanted to write a paper on The Lord of the Rings, one of my favorite books, if you wanted to write a paper on The Lord of the Rings, you could write a paper talking about how Frodo is the protagonist. But there's really no arguing against that. It's a challenge sometimes to find things that can be argued against, but it'll make your paper better. So as you go through, ask questions of the text. A better question might be, how does, Boromir's death affect our view of like the reader's view of Gondor throughout the story? I don't know, that's not the best topic either, but it's better because there are a number of different answers that you could get to it. In any case, step 1, read a lot, research, good research from like databases and whatnot, but ask questions as you read and take notes as you read. If you've already been given a topic, your job's a lot easier, and this is where the two kind of streams come together here. The first step, really, you can do this in about a week. The only thing limiting you is really how long the paper has to be, but there's no reason that you can't write a 1,000-word paper in a week without too much effort and concern. Effort is not the right word for it because the first couple days are pretty hard, because what you do the first day is outline. Outline your paper. I have a lot of students that tell me that, oh, I don't like to outline. I do better just writing. No, you don't. You really don't. Because outlining forces you to think about what you're going to say before you say it. It feels like it's going to be longer. It feels like it's more work, but it ends up taking less work and less time because you're not having to go back and redo chunks of your paper because you didn't think it out or plan it out well. So step 1 is always going to be outlining. Be very clear about your organization. Be very clear about your arguments. Make sure all of your arguments are supported, whatnot. The basics, really. So day 1, outline. You should be able to outline a paper in a day. You should, in that outline, have all the research, have the citations, do all that legwork so that when it comes time to write, you don't have to worry about it. The goal is when you sit down to write your paper the following day, you don't have to go back and find things. You don't have to go back and look things up and find quotes. You can just sit down and write, and you're never at a position where you're like, I don't know what to write next. A good outline completely removes writer's block because you always know what you're going to say next. So, step 1, read, research, ask questions, take notes. Then step 2 is outline your paper. I like to do something called front loading. So let's say I have a paper due on Friday, and if I find out about it on Monday, I'll do the outline on Monday, and on Tuesday, the next day, I'll do the draft. A full draft of the paper on Tuesday when it's not due till Friday. The reason for this is your first draft should just be your first draft. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's much, much quicker and much better to write a draft that's not perfect, that's not good, that you know you're going to have to go back and change, and just get it on the paper. That's step 1. Get things on the paper. I don't remember who said the phrase originally, but I say it in my classroom to my students because it sticks and it's something that they can be like, I can apply this. It's easier to polish a turd than poop out gold. You can't polish something that's not written. So you have to get something written. Doesn't have to be good, just has to be on the paper. So One day, outline. The next day, draft. You can you can write a lot more in a day than you think you can, especially if you know exactly what you're going to say. And that's what that draft day is designed to help you. Obviously, if you got like a 30-page paper, you're not doing that one draft in one day. But if you're writing a 30-page paper, you probably know the stuff that I'm telling you already. So outline and then draft. And then let's say you do that Monday and then Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday are revision days. Revision is big level macro changes. Look at your organization. Look at how it came out. Do your arguments make sense? Are they well supported? Is what you're saying making sense at all? Don't worry about little grammar bits and misspellings yet. If you see something, mark it or change it. But now is the time to look at the big picture. Does your paper make sense? Can you support it better? Are there parts where it's weaker and you need to kind of beef it up? And from this time forward, you basically just layering over your paper, first with a revision with those big level changes with organization, and then with content and support, and then do another one through getting further and further down, narrowing things down as you transition from revision to editing, where you're looking at things like, all right, how are my paragraphs transitioning? Is one point flowing smoothly into the next point? Then editing. Now for editing is like the small level changes. So once you're done with a revision and you're like, okay, the content is there, the organization is good, now I just need to polish it up and submit it. This polishing up process, here's a tip. Start at the end. Start at the back of your paper and move your way to the front of the paper. Because when you're just reading through your paper, it's really easy as you're just reading to skip stuff. The first thing you should do, of course, is read your paper out loud once all the way through. Literally out loud. You'll catch so many things. You'll catch weird phrasings. You'll catch extra words. You're like, wait, that's not even a sentence. So do that first. Read straight through from start to finish out loud. Mark as you go. And then start from the back and work your way to the front. One sentence at a time. You will catch pretty much everything there is to catch in your paper if you do both of those things. Do passes through for grammar, for subject-verb agreement, like if I'm using a singular noun here, is the verb singular or is it plural? Check for that kind of stuff. Check to polish up, search, use like the find replace feature. Control F or Command F if you're on a Mac, and just type in an apostrophe. Make sure that you're not using any contractions if this is academic writing. Do those little teeny tweaks to make your paper, to kind of polish it up. So basically, after that, you're done. You submit. That's it, the end. So this front-loading process is you get the heavy lifting done the first 2 days, the first couple days, or 3 days if it's a really long paper, it might take you. And then from then on, you're just improving it. By getting that outline done first, if you follow the directions and you do the outline and you write that draft, you could probably turn in that first draft for like a C or a low B if you wanted to. But it's that revision and editing process that turns C papers into B papers and B papers into A papers. It really is. I cannot tell you how rare it is to have a student submit a paper that fits all of those things, that I can tell, okay, this is well organized and perfect grammatically. There's no spelling errors and no contractions. It's really rare to find a student who's done all of those things, because it seems like a lot of work. It's like, man, I got to do all this checklist stuff after I'm already done with the paper. But you're not done with the paper after the first draft. That's just the first draft. That's your pooping out a turd. And then you got to polish it up. So, crude analogy, but it works, right? So remember, it's easier to polish a turd than to poop out gold. So first draft is supposed to be yucky. It's supposed to be piece of junk. And then you spend the majority of your time polishing and improving that draft. And that's how you write a paper much more quickly and with much less stress and effort than you would be able to otherwise. So step 1, read research, ask questions, and take notes. And then once you have all that information ready and you know what you're writing about, you outline one day, draft the next day, maybe 2, and then spend the rest of your time revising, editing, and then submitting your perfect paper. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have questions for me, if there's things you want to know about, you want to hear about, you have questions, send them in. You can actually basically call in via anchor.fm, the Anchor app. You can submit your voice recording and then I'll play it here and answer your question. Alternatively, if you want to just get in touch, there's all of the social links will be in the description or at the bottom of the video here if you're watching it on YouTube. If you are watching it on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you did the whole like thing. And if you are listening to it on some sort of podcast platform of your choice, I'd appreciate it if you left a review. Let me know what you think. How's it going? Is this good things? Is this meh things? Be honest. I can take it. Mostly. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night or evening or whatever it is, wherever you are all around the world. Take care. I'll see you next time, and never stop learning.